And we're chartered with discovering insights that support decision-making across the company. That includes product, so improving our cameras, our software, our cloud services, our marketing capabilities, we work with finance, we work with engineering. So our charter is to discover insights however we can. And we're primarily using analytics and data science techniques, traditional logistic regressions, different types of predictive modeling. But we haven't used in the past AI or computer vision in this case. So this is an example where AI or computer vision, deep learning is extending our capability. So how do we discover insights we couldn't before? So these types of techniques are a natural extension of our work. So I want to give an example. So this is a story about how an analytics team adapts the technology to extend our capability. And how do you drive change? How do you do that when no one on the team knows how to do deep learning or is familiar with it or understands how we would use it? So this is an example of the switch framework, researched by Chip and Dan Heath. So it's very powerful techniques that every successful change project includes. So I'm sort of telling the story of a team adapting analytics, adapting computer vision to improve our insight capability and drive change within the team. So we started with a question. We have a business problem or a question. Our users generate millions and millions of pictures and videos, and we have a general idea of what they create. Lots of extreme sports, lots of cute videos of their kids, all kinds of things we wouldn't imagine. But we don't know, what is the percentage of fireworks photos or shots of children? Is that 1%? Is that 50% of the content? That makes a big difference. If the images are indoor, then low light sensors, low light technology, video editing software that works better on low light images. So knowing that would drive improvements in our product. So this is sort of our objectives. What is the content in terms of segments? What percentage of these types of images are being shot by our customers? And so that would allow us to, and it has already allowed us to improve our features and performance. That is on camera, in our apps, and in our cloud services. Feature enhancements and exploration of what could be a potential new feature to add to our products. That also comes out in new capabilities of our products, our 360 camera, our Hero 8 camera, future cameras, our future mobile app software. Also in marketing, when we know a significant percentage of our customers or a group of customers like a certain type of image capture activity, we can market directly to them with that relevant content. If you're a surfer, if you're a mountain biker, we can cater that marketing to that group, or at least know if we're using this type of image, it's going to capture a larger market segment than if we use some very niche image or video. Also, CRM advertising, so direct-to-consumer emails, in-app messaging, that can be tailored to someone's interests as well. And also GoPro Studio. So we have a studio team that creates a lot of launch videos and advertisements. They come to the analytics team and they want to know, what should we create? They're creators with lots of ideas, but they would like guidance. Should I be creating skydiving videos? Should we, this is like the dream team. They send these guys around the world and they just have fun and shoot cool videos. But they do want to know, what should we shoot? What kind of content? So understanding what our consumers are capturing can inform even our creative studio team. So shifting gears back to how do you drive change? So we're a team of analysts and data scientists. We have machine learning experience, but not deep learning experience, and definitely not convolutional networks or image classification experience. But it's not a stretch. It's something we're capable of learning and doing. And we sort of proved that on our team. So the switch framework uses the analogy of a rider on an elephant going down a path. And the rider represents the rational, logical mind. The elephant, the emotional mind, which is more powerful. And you see that right away when you try to influence an individual or a team or a company. And then the path, where are we headed? So I'll walk through an example of how I did this on the team. So the rider, you want to follow the bright spots. So we started with not knowing what kind of technique to use. So we kind of looked at where in the company, like who was using image classification techniques. You script the critical move, so you chop up and make it very simple, going from that question to quantifying and segmenting millions of videos and photos. You need to break it up for somebody who's never done image classification before. And then you point to the destination. What does that look like? Like, why do we do this? And helping the data scientists understand why makes a big deal, big difference. So here, looking around the company, it turned out that the hardware team was actually using image classification to embed and create algorithms on our camera for scene detection to improve the performance of the product. And the software team, so if you haven't used our app, it's pretty sweet. It's using lots of this image classification goes into the algorithm to help the software detect faces, smiles, action, points of interest in the videos, and it will select those interesting moments and create automatically a video that's better than most of us here could create with 10 hours of time. And then the cloud team is using it to organize content. So 3 teams were already using image classification techniques. And so we found that the mobile team was using Amazon's recognition engine, and they were using it to feed and improve the mobile apps algorithm. And it turned out this is a perfect application for us on the analytics and data science team to leverage Amazon's off-the-shelf recognition engine, just understanding enough code on how to use it and how convolutional networks work and how image classification work. We were able to figure out how to apply it to our use case. And this is an example of what it looks like for us. It's not actual percentages, but it looks something like this. So looking at millions of images, we can kind of tell, all right, the significant percentage of our customers create content that is not jumping out of a plane, wingsuits, it's not traditional, typical GoPro content. So my team has been able to influence the understanding of who our customers really are. And they're not just action fanatics. In fact, most GoPro customers are not like adventure sports folks. So we know there are these distinct groups and percentages of content created. So we can then start to design, for example, indoors, like I was mentioning, low light sensors, low light technology, video software that's sensitive to darker images, that kind of stuff. It helps us refine the product. So this is sort of our end state goal, to do this type of work consistently. So how did I get someone on the team to actually start doing this? So first, we found the machine learning engineer who was willing and able to train us, and found a motivated data scientist. Her name's Megan. She's extremely motivated. And if you want to keep your data scientists around, you need to keep them interested in learning. Otherwise, they're out. So got the machine learning engineer to train us and help us understand how to leverage Amazon's recognition engine, document it for our use case using our code for our content, and then testing it. So it's very, very specific. Hey, we're going to get you training. Then we'll get the rest of the team training, and then it'll snowball from there. Also, what's the purpose of it? We want to segment. So explaining to a data scientist who's focused on data munging, crunching the numbers, they don't always know what is the real purpose and impact. So to help explain, that goal, if we can produce this type of classification similar to our machine learning engineering team on the software side, we're going to be able to leverage this to segment our customers from a marketing perspective, from a customer understanding perspective, not just for the algorithm in the app or the camera. So the implications, the applications are much broader and even more impactful than product level improvements. So motivating the elephant, find the feeling, shrink the change, grow your people. All the research shows that we make most of our decisions not logically, but emotionally. We feel something, then we take action. We rationalize before we take action, and then we think we're actually being logical. But the fact is, most of us don't make decisions that way. We make emotional, quick decisions and then justify it logically. So finding the feeling, this is finding the feeling in Megan, and then by extension, the team. So getting that person interested and motivated, feeling like this is a reason to stay at GoPro on this team, and I'm gonna learn and have an impact across the company and even on the team. So this is somebody who has an analytics background, turning the cranks, very good at basic analytics, lots of predictive analytics modeling. So what's that next step? What's the reason for me to stay here? So helping someone understand on a professional growth level, like you're gonna learn deep learning. You're gonna get to, use AI to extend your capability in your toolbox. So you're learning new skills, next level insights, high impact insights. Looks good on your resume. And you'll be able to demonstrate actual impact of the work of hundreds of people, of a product. You can say, I made this change in the product. So shrinking the change, it's often daunting. So I recommend one of these. It's an online course Adrian's created that's really good in helping you understand what is deep learning and how to do it for yourself on your laptop. So in this case, worked with her to apply image classification to small data sets. And then we built from there, making it like scaling it from your laptop to the cloud, to publicly available images. So that is a whole nother lecture right there on how do you actually manage and apply it on small number of images and larger data sets. So basically walking her through and the team through how to scale up. And when we did that, it showed the whole team that not only could one individual data scientist who's not a machine learning engineer can actually apply computer vision, that expanded out. Now there's 2 other people on the team. So we have 3 data scientists with the ability to apply deep learning techniques for image classification purposes. And the next is shape the path. So how did we get to the 3 people on the team and potentially 4 or 5 more using it? So what Chip and Dan Heath recommend, and what I've done for the team, is basically make it safe. It's a safe place. We set up projects and goals. We have multiple image classification projects with our studio team, with publicly available content, the awards videos coming in. So we have multiple projects for the next 2 years that we can work on. So it's something to look forward to, big goals. If we don't get there, that's fine, creating a safe environment for them. So we have fun with it, we explore, and we learn something new. And that creates a habit. If we have sort of have fun Fridays where we're all learning something new, and right now it's this. And so we spend a few hours on Friday learning and teaching each other all about how we can apply these techniques. And so it creates this habit within the team where we're constantly learning in the right direction. And this is basically, once we had Megan interested, it just snowballed because the other data scientists are like, well, she can do it, I can do it. And so now there's a little bit of competition. And so it's sort of, it's what I'm doing with my team is rallying the herd in that sense. Everyone's kind of interested in moving in this direction and learning these new skills. So summary, direct the rider, the logical person. So following the bright spots, script the critical moves, point to the destination. If you hit these 3 points, you will make progress with the logical side of the individual and the group. Motivating the elephant, really finding that feeling, shrinking the change, and growing the people. So finding that feeling, if you find that feeling, people will knock down walls, doors. They'll find a way to get to that solution or achieve that goal. Shaping the path is just creating an environment within the team to learn. So if you feel free and safe to learn, you'll be able to convince a team that's these guys are not all, they're very they're all engineers. So they're not they're super focused, they love what they do. Thinking out of the box isn't always something they're interested in, but creating an environment where that's safe and encouraged, that's how I shape the path. And that is it for me. That's the book. I highly recommend the Pi Image Search training. Very good Amazon recognition. I didn't talk about Crimson Hexagon, Brandwatch. We do use other third-party software. It's becoming embedded in lots and lots of different applications and services. I'm sure there's a few salespeople here with their own image classification products. That's my presentation. Thank you.
All right, let's thank Jules. We have time for some questions. None of you own GoPros? I have a question to kick it off. So this one analytics person you were talking about who was learning, you wanted to have them learn about deep learning. And then you said it was kind of contagious. And you kind of set up a path for then deep learning education in the group and the team. And you mentioned other teams that are already doing some image classification. Are you trying to get those teams all kind of together, improving their algorithms? And did you need manager sign off and lots of documents getting stamped and signed? And or like how much difficulty
we're
in terms of the
1,000 person company, not 100,000 like Intel. So it's a little easier to actually just call someone up or Slack them and start a meeting and have a conversation and drive change. That was actually one of the reasons, one of the ways to motivate Megan and the team, because our insights would directly impact camera algorithm, mobile app, cloud. So it's a feedback loop. They train us, but our insights are a little different because the context is more, let's say, marketing focused. We're thinking in terms of customer segments, who are our customers broadly, whereas an engineer on mobile or camera is looking at how do I detect this object to enhance the algorithm to make the movie better. It's not so much what's our market look like in terms of types of content. But that information feeds back into the products. So.
We have a question over here.
Hi there, Jules. Thank you very much. My name is Dan Waters from Samsung. Just a quick question you touched on, and I was just thinking, it's great to satisfy, your marketing desires and those sorts of things, which is great. And I love what you guys have done. I'm just kind of wondering, have you also thought about taking the next step to enhance the consumer experience and helping them kind of organize their digital library and maybe get some more out of their...
I can't say much about our new products, but I'm definitely advocating. I'm a passionate GoPro user, and I'll have to say there's some seriously painful aspects of using our apps and services. So definitely that is part of it. We're trying to quantify pain points in our process. Aside from the computer vision, we see these drop-offs within the flow of our app or our cloud service, and it is not perfect. And I'm definitely very vocal about that. And when we can find data to enhance the experience, and we work closely with the UX researcher, and we feed her team information around, like, she can supplement her interviews when people complain. Like we study how people use the product in a lab, and we can supplement that with consumer data. Does her pain point ring true to 1 million people, type of thing. So yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions over here?
Thank you. I really enjoy your talk. I'm Eugene from Magic Leap. I'm wondering, do you have a issue with user privacy? And if so, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, user privacy is legal wouldn't want me to say anything. Personally, it's important for me. I'm an advocate of knowing the data that's out there and knowing others who are at companies that have more data than you can imagine. It's a concern. So we definitely follow the law to the T. And in this case, we're looking at public images, and so we steer clear right now of user personally identifiable or non-public information. So we're GDPR compliant.
Any other questions? Okay, one last question since we have a couple more minutes. Incorporating AI into your company, I think from what I've seen, it's actually very difficult for companies and businesses to start taking the leap to incorporate different kinds of AI, incorporating AI into their business. What are some maybe tips? And you gave some great tips, but what's the first step people can take when they know they need to use more data to determine how they should do things in their company? You've gone as far as changing company culture and incorporating new things that directs features into the product. What are some tips to get started in the process?
Yeah, there's a lot more to unpack in that presentation. But the first thing I always look for is an advocate. So my experience has been there's a cast of characters in any company. Like when I started GoPro 5 years ago, there are the folks who got the company to $1 billion in revenue on gut-driven decisions, almost no data. So I ran into those folks who are like, who are you? Like, why do I need your data? And then there's folks from other companies, Intel, Amazon, Facebook, Google. So they're very data-driven, and they're demanding data from you so they can do their job, because they know they shouldn't make a decision without being informed, being data informed. And then there's the folks who are most folks, they know they need to make data informed decisions, but they don't know how, or they're a high risk of misusing the data. And product managers are guilty of that, because they have a bias, passion, they need to make a case for their vision. And sometimes they tend to hunt for data confirmation bias. So you face a lot of barriers where the inherent role forces a biased use of data. So it's really helping educate, manage, offset the misunderstandings, and arm everybody with data so one person doesn't go into a meeting and level everybody because they have data no one else does and they're actually wrong. So it's finding those advocates that know how to use data responsibly and using them to kind of plant the seed throughout the company. As an example, that's how I've leveraged advocates and responsible data users.
Very good advice. Thanks Jules again for his talk.
Thanks for your questions.